I'd like to talk a little bit about transferable skills because most of us will need to rely on those as we move from position to position over the course of our careers. I watched a CBS morning news segment a few days ago, and there was a spokesperson from LinkedIn whose name, let me see, is Catherine Fisher. And I will say LinkedIn has invested as much money into understanding today's evolving workplace as any organization, more than Indeed or anybody. They really have invested over the course of years. They've gotten a lot of Wall Street attention. They get a lot of money from corporate people, corporate organizations who help them in the talent acquisition process, which is increasingly difficult. But that's not the point. The point I want to talk about is transferable skills. And she mentioned that a friend of hers had just talked about her early job experience in an interview where the hiring manager asked her about being a bartender. And the woman said, I didn't even think I should really put that on my resume, but I did because I wanted to show continuous employment. But the hiring manager was very interested in her experiences as a bartender. And the woman went on to say there were experiences that she had in that role with conflict resolution. You know, people can have a little too much to drink and they're kind of getting into it. And she had a skillful way of calming things. And this is what the hiring manager was interested in. This is a personality characteristic that the woman had. She was calm in a stressful situation. This is what employers want. They can get robots to do things that robots didn't always have the capacity to do. The hiring manager can test for many of your hard skills, but the hiring manager cannot really know how you're going to be in a tense situation when there's a deadline, or a few people haven't shown up, or there's been a technology breakdown. These are the things that happen, and people become stressed and they lose their footing. So it's very important that you can tell stories about the way in which you were able to keep yourself centered and have good judgment, even when things hit you in an escalating environment. Another story the woman mentioned, this LinkedIn spokesperson on the morning show, was about someone who did volunteer work at a food kitchen, and a lot of the food was beginning to spoil because the refrigeration system failed. And this woman was able to actually get money, get funding to buy a new refrigerator for this food bank. And that was very impressive to the hiring manager. In each of these cases, one woman went on, the woman who had been the bartender, went on to have a very successful career in public relations. So the idea that you can be a problem solver, a hiring manager who's interviewing you is going to suss out that you can probably do that in many different situations. If you've got that kind of way of thinking creatively about how to solve a problem, and you can coalesce resources, you can get people behind you for the importance of something that needs to be done, that is a lot more important than a technical skill that can be tested for. The way to understand how to sell yourself is to be able to tell stories that specifically illustrate what you did and what your skills were. We have not been trained to do that, many of us. So I'm urging you to begin to tell stories. Carry a little notebook if you have an idea. If you're selling yourself all the time, we all are. And these kinds of work-related stories are important for you to remember and practice telling. These are your transferable skills. I'm Linda at Work That Satisfies. I hope that you'll subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for visiting. More rewarding, less exhausting.